All right, we'll get started with the session. Thank you everyone for joining us and a very good evening to all of you. And thank you for joining us on a Saturday evening for the PGPMAX Student Diaries hosted by the PGPMAX team at ISB. My name is Thomas and I'll be your host for today. The Student Diaries is our outreach initiative that brings together current students of the PGPMAX community to share their experience. So it is your opportunity to get the insider input from them, to ask our current students about the program experience, why they decided to do PGPMAX, how the PGPMAX is helping them professionally, and so on. To do this, please make use of the Q&A box, which is available towards the bottom of your screen, and I'll be happy to share these questions with our panelists as we progress. We had also asked for questions from your end as you registered for the event. We have received quite a few questions from your end. After a brief introduction to our panel, I'll ask these questions on your behalf, and we'll take up the other questions as we progress to the Q&A. The Q&A today will be limited to the program experience and to our panelists. So if you have any program or admission related query, please feel free to contact us offline. We'll be happy to address it offline. I'll be sharing a booking link for arranging a one-to-one conversation with us, with the admission office, and we'll be happy to take these questions there. So without much delay, let me now welcome our panelists for the event today. We will have three of our current participants in the program today. One of our participants will be joining a little later in the session. So first I have with me Dr. Giri Gowda Chelvaraju. Giri Gowda is the APAC head who handles research and product development at BASF. He heads the vegetable seeds division at BASF. Welcome, Giri Gowda. And I also have with me Mr. Kumresh Kindra in the panel today. Kumresh is a commander with the Indian Navy. Welcome, Kumresh.
Good evening, Thomas. Thanks for having me here.
Excellent. In some time, we'll also have Shailaja Shivram joining us. Shailaja is the managing director and lead industry platforms at Accenture, where she drives cloud transformation solution for clients across the globe. Shailaja is just coming back from a client engagement, so another 10-15 minutes and she should be there with us. So given the interesting profiles that we have in the panel today, I'm sure that you will have a lot of questions to ask them. Please do use the Q&A box to type in your questions and I'll be happy to share this with the panel. Let me start off with a brief introduction from each of our panel members by talking more about why they decided to do PGPMAX and what brought them to this program in the first place. So Giri, probably I'll start with you. If you can give a brief background of yours, and if you can tell us a little about what brought you to PGPMAX, that'll help.
Thank you, Thomas. Thanks for being you here. It's nice to speak to the participants. As you said, I'm presently the lead of Asia Pacific Research and Development wing of BASF Vegetables. In fact, when I joined the course, I was heading the global production operations where we produce vegetable seeds for it's agronomic inputs industry. So I was in charge for the production operations worldwide and also the team which takes care of the seed production activities in America, Europe, and Asia. So that's my profile as of now. But basically, I'm from the biological science background. All years, I am more focused on functional leadership. I was more technology oriented, life science technology oriented, but somewhere in my mind, I had ambition to grow as a leader to the business. So, and also, yeah, I'm comfortable in the company. I joined the same company as a kind of a floor team lead and moved to the different ladders of the organization from the team lead to the senior manager role. Of course, I'm doing good. People were giving opportunity to step up. But at one point of time, I felt what else left in the organization, which I don't learn. So basically, I'm more functional oriented. I have a technical competency, more content-based leadership. When I thought, okay, there are opportunities I need to move further and also to make more influence in the organization, then ISB came to my mind. So how I can expand my horizon of understanding. So that's where I started thinking to pursue higher education. Then I did a couple of surveys and spoke to my colleagues and friends, neighbors. Then I ended up with ISB as the best choice because it gives a lot of opportunity to learn more in a way, uh, fun way. And also there's no stress. At the same time, it's also has its own reputation, and that's the reason I joined. Very briefly, maybe I can answer specific questions or any clarifications from participants. That's how I landed to the ISB as a PGPMAX student.
Thank you so much, Gary. That's an excellent start. Kumresh, let me get your perspective. A very different background. You are from the defense, been with Navy for quite a few years now. What brought you to PGPMAX at ISB?
Thanks, Thomas. Thanks. So let me start. Being along with Navy, yes, I joined when I was 17, just out of 12th class. And since then, I've been with Navy. And if it interests, I'm a second generation defense officer. So I've been with defense right from before birth, you can say. And it's been a long journey wherein I grew in the realms of defense, then joined defense, continued. After 12th, I joined Navy and I did my engineering with Navy. So I'm a mechanical engineer by profession. I take care of the technical side. Over a period of time, I've grown from being assistant engineer on board ships to chief technical officer, handled projects, programs, portfolio, had been in naval headquarters, wherein I handled the strategy part of it, perspective planning, and I was fortunate enough to be coveted with attending the Defense Services Staff course, wherein we get Masters in Defense and Strategy in UT. And then came a stage wherein something inside me said that I need a change. And it didn't happen overnight. It took some time, but it did come on to me. And that is the time I decided that probably I need to start phase 2 of my life, which didn't have anything to do with service. So I started researching as to where do I need to head to. I started, searching for institutes, the courses which I wanted to do. I shortlisted quite a few, and ISB was definitely one of them. In fact, PGP was also one of them. But somehow, finally, when I did my due diligence and did my SWOT analysis, my present scenario, where I am and what will I be able to afford in next 2 years, which I'd given for myself to do the transition, I realized PGPMAX was the most suited for me. And that is when I took the decision after consulting with many veterans who have been through the portals of PGPMAX as well as PGP. And here I am at the cusp of finishing PGPMAX 2022.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, Kamresh. Now let's talk a little about the program itself. So the program has 12 weeks of in-person immersions. So that is about 84 days that you spend on our campuses. Minus all the Saturdays and Sundays, that is 60 days out of office that you'll have the platform. So how does this work out? How did you manage the time to pull out so many days for pursuing this program, given your personal and professional commitment? Kumresh, probably I'll start with you on this. If you can help us understand how you go about this routine.
Yes. So in defense, we have a procedure of taking permission for doing the course. And when I initially thought of it, it was quite a lot of number of days out of office just for the purpose of the course. But then my system was quite helpful in accepting because it was for my personal development. And during the course, there was a lot of things which the organization saw would be given back in the form of what I learn and what I implement in my organization. Yes, it does take a hit on your personal time. We don't have the luxury of having any additional days apart from your course for your vacations with your family time. But then this was all decided upon before I signed the dotted line and I said, yes, this is what I want to do in my life now. And family was very helpful, very understanding. My mother stays with me. She was also very surprised and understanding. Family, yes, they have been very helpful.
That's great to hear. Thank you, Kumresh. Giri, let's come to your profile now. As you mentioned, you were handling a global role, so I'm sure that there was a lot of responsibility when you started off with the program itself. How do you manage this, flying in and flying out on a Friday to Friday? How does it work?
So thank you, Thomas. Same kind of what Kumari said. I think it's a commitment. In first place, you should have a commitment for your learning. I think it's for our learning. It's to reinvent yourself. I think that goes first. But as an organization, BSF also gives a lot of opportunity for development of the people. So I am being identified as a potential manager in the company. In fact, I was sponsored by my organization to go to a kind of good courses. They give me a freedom to choose what I like to do and to choose the institute. When I got to have a request and they said go ahead, and that's the support I got from my company. That's the one thing. As Kumri said, family support is the another thing. Sometimes, of course, you have to have some dedicated time for your course, then you miss the family time. But that's the understanding of the family. And the bigger purpose of doing this is definitely shared with the family, and family also see the value of it. Their support always helps. How I personally managed, I'm not that disciplined guy. And yeah, what helped me, I used to travel a lot, but the COVID itself had brought a less travels. I think that extra time I got in that COVID travel restrictions and all, because as a company, we took a decision to reduce our travel because we learned also to do the things differently. Without much travel, also you can do a better job. That's the realization COVID brought to a lot of companies. Then I started utilizing that time. On top of that, probably sometimes Saturday, Sunday, and some weekends, you miss your party time. That's the some sacrifice we have to make, but it's not that we have to completely immerse in the course. I think, yeah, a little bit dedication, little bit commitment, and also, yeah, you have a cohorts to help you. So with the collective support of cohorts, you can make it easy, but you need to have some time for the course.
Excellent. Thank you, Giri. Now that you mentioned about the cohort, let's have a discussion about your cohort itself. Now, it's a very diverse set of individuals that ISB brings together for a program like PGPMAX. So we say that the program is designed for functional leaders who aspire to move into an organizational leadership role. So standard corporate track profiles is one setting, but there are people who come from various other walks of life. Like you, for instance, are from a research background. You have a PhD in crop sciences research as well. So, what is the experience like with so many different people from various walks of life, having a doctor, a lawyer, somebody from defense in the cohort? How does it add into the experience in the program?
I tell you, one is the ISB, the content and curriculum of professors and teaching. That's really great. But I put a first place, the value is coming from your course directly. It's a so diverse. Not only diverse, I think that cohorts comes with a rich experience, and not only experience in the job, in the life. I think they give you a different perspective for you. I think if I look at my cohorts today, I am the quite a unique profile in the sense less people comes from the research background to this. But if you look at the cohorts, there are multiple dimensions in the cohorts, starting from military to the business, engineers, and the technology, data science, fintech, HR. They're diverse. I think you also get the opportunity to interact not only casually in the party or in the restaurants, but also you will get an opportunity to work closely with them when they made the groups, because there are 12 terms. One or the other term, I will get into a close contact with the cohorts to work closely. Then you will reflect with them. So you will interact with them. So that learning, like from Kumari's, I'm learning more than the course, more than the content. The how you look at the business, the maturity, how you look at the things in the life, and also several things. I think it's very difficult to explain in 1 hour the value we get from the cohorts. So diverse, so nice, matured individuals with a rich experience itself is a return on investment for me. I think that's like 80 institutes for me, these 80 cohorts. So if I am not exaggerating, it's the truth. I'm learning a lot from these cohorts.
Excellent. Thank you, Giri, for that. Kumresh, let me get your perspective now. Very diverse set of individuals coming together. That also adds a question, because when people are from a parallel track, so to say, they will be a little intimidated to consider this program. They'll be like, there are VPs, directors, CXOs who are part of this cohort. How will learning be? Will I be able to cope up with them? I'm not from a business setting, so is it okay to go through the journey? Are all questions that we get. Share your experience, please, on this.
Yes, thank you, Thomas. We are 79, 80 of us. Let me tell you, all 80 of us are top guns in our own respective industries. But like our professor brought out, we are all leaders. But when you have leaders working together, who's going to follow? So the most important quality of a leader also happens to listen to others around and probably alter the paths. When we are working together, we are looking at things from different angles. We are so hardcore in our own thought process, how we look at a particular problem and how we go about resolving it. When we are working together with diverse set of people, we realize that there are probably different ways you can address a problem, understand a problem, evaluate a problem, and then go about finding the solution. And also, we have people of different levels from different industries. Now, when we grow, like if I take my example, I've grown in defense. So there is a particular way I estimate or understand that my boss feels about a particular issue. But I don't know for sure because I can't go and ask him. So this always remains in hindsight that this probably could be the thought process of my boss. But when you're working in PGPMAX cohort together in group assignments, you have people of different levels working together. Now it is up to you whether you just want to finish the assignment and move ahead, or start thinking as to, what is this person suggesting? Why is he suggesting like that? Does this mean that this level, probably this is his outlook? And then comes a director level guy in your group and he shows a different perspective altogether. So these are the things which, bring upon different views when we are working in such a diverse kind of group. And when you say this inhibition of working, so PGPMAX, when it brings out this brochure, it speaks about the work experience, right? These are, pardon my language, the big dogs of their respective industries. So if you have thought about applying for this course, you are one of them. So don't stop, fill up the form. And if you get selected, trust you me, you are there, whether you finish the PGPMAX course with your cohort or no, you're there. And nothing can stop you from understanding and learning what this diverse cohort and ISB has got to give to you. That's my take on this.
Excellent. Thank you, Kumresh. Thank you for that. We also have Shailaja joining in the call. Shailaja, if you're there. Yes.
So I tried to actually put up my background, which doesn't seem to be working.
No, not a
sorry,
problem.
it's terribly delayed.
No, this is completely fine. Shailaja, so probably I'll start off with a short introduction of yours. What do you do in your present capacity, and what brought you to PGPMAX?
Yeah. So I'm a managing director at Accenture Technology India. So all my career, almost getting to 25 years now, has been in technology. So obviously have been based out of India, working for various organizations, so services, consulting, and I've also worked in a bank extensively. So predominantly started with a very financial services person, but the diverse roles that I have picked up in each of the organizations, especially in the previous consulting organization at present, Accenture, has actually really given me a whole lot of perspective across the industries. Today at Accenture, I lead everything that has got to do with software engineering when it comes to cloud. So I'm part of cloud first organization within Accenture, and I lead a big portfolio of client engagements out there.
Excellent. Thank you, Shailaja, for that. Just before you joined this call, we were discussing about managing time. to come and be part of PGPMAX. Now I know that you just came back from a client engagement, and you're in a high demand industry, fast paced industry, where probably if you're not meeting a client, you're either preparing for one or you're on travel for meeting them. So how do you manage it? So flying in and out of each of these campuses on a Friday to Friday, taking 1 week out of your time, how does all of that work?
See, honestly speaking, if I tell that it's been easy, I'll be lying. It's been a bit of a challenge, and but what I've learned coming to EMBA, one of the best things that has happened to me is being better organized. The reason I'm saying that is, of course, I have always been in certain roles where it was highly demanding, but then I used to get to the nth level of details, right? So what this course has really taught me is about how do I actually prioritize what I want to do, and how do I actually prioritize things for people around me who are dependent on me, whether it is at work or at home. So that's what has happened. Of course, what the good part of this course has been, ISB has been super supportive as well, right? You need the support from your respective organization. Your boss has to be super supportive, primary. That's rule number one. And then, of course, your family has to be supportive. Once you have ticked these two boxes, the institution where you are actually doing the course also has to be super supportive, right? So ISB is one such organization. I go around talking about it everywhere, because they do understand this is a course for senior executives and everybody is having high flying jobs. We are 80 of us, right? Imagine 80 such strong individual and leaders doing very critical jobs. So there have been instances where each one of us had to attend critical calls, critical meetings, and then we do come back, kind of pick up things where we have left. So I would say that the balance has happened because we know that we want to do it. We have gotten into it consciously, and the learning part of this course is what is so motivating that you will balance everything else, right? So you just get into it. As everybody says, once you get into the water is when you start swimming. So you just jump into it and then you start swimming. So that has been the case with me, and I'm sure everybody else would have said similar things.
Excellent. Thank you, Shailaja. Yes, we had similar notes coming from others as well. So let's now talk about the program itself. Let's talk about some of the subjects which are taught in the program. I would want to ask, what are your favorite subjects and how is this helping you professionally? Because a lot of time, people who are at 15 years, 16 years, 17 years of experience are thinking of, what learning will I take off from such a program and how will it translate to my professional experience? So probably, Kumresh, I'll start with you on this. What is your favorite subject and how has it helped you professionally?
Okay, thank you, Thomas. Frankly speaking, for me, everything is new, right? But the favorite subject of mine has been negotiation, which was taught by Professor Jonathan Pinto, UK-based prof. The core subjects which we learn, that is going to be implemented on paper, maximum in presentation, but that doesn't get you the buy-in. What gets you the buy-in of your stakeholders is how you put across the thing and how you negotiate across the table. This is what Professor Jonathan Pinto brought to us. The live negotiation exercises which he made us do was an eye-opener. Again, like I brought up before, ISB selects the leaders. Now, when you're negotiating with leaders, you have a very tough task, and it's not easy at all. The discussions, polite discussions, start with pleasantries. They may escalate to a little discussion, a little high-pitched discussion, a little more high-pitched discussion, but at the end of it, you need to come out with an answer because that is what the professor is looking for. And this is not the end of it. Once you're done with your negotiation, you also need to give a self-reflection. Now, it's happening very fast. You have been into a negotiation exercise, you spend 15 minutes into it, come out of it, you get another 10-15 minutes to write your self-assessment. What went wrong? Was your approach correct? Did you approach the target correctly? This is something which has immediately helped me in my work. I have a diverse set of people to interact with. Though by the name defense, everybody feels that, we interact only with defense officers or defense personnel, internal, but that is not how it is. We interact with corporates, we interact with IAS officers, we interact with Ministry of Defense, you name it, and we interact with. And this is where these negotiation skills have actually helped. Though it is not that I was not aware of it or I was not good at it, but there were lacunae, stark lacunae, which were brought out when I did my self-analysis. And that is what really helped. And I really am indebted to Professor Jonathan Pinto, and I always will be. I always tell him when we meet. In fact, during our international immersion, I met him there and I said, Prof, it's really helping. This is one of the subjects which is helping me giving me immediate gratification.
Excellent. Thank you, Kamresh, for that. Giri, now let me come to you. Get your take on what was your favorite subject and how has it helped you?
Thank you, Thomas. A couple of things. I believe I am a people person. So different aspects about the different subjects. For me, if I list the subjects, sometimes if you feel it's your strength, people is your strength, then strengthening your strength, I get from the LPO. So lead to people and organization. I think the different examples and the matrices taught, it helped me to rethink about my approaches towards the people. So that's the one thing, to enjoy your strength in the classroom when the class is happening, and also application in the real life. When it comes to, I said I was a functional manager. I need to move to a kind of a business leadership role and general leadership role. What helped me, the two subjects. One is the strategy taught by the Professor Kale, and also negotiations. The strategy gives me a broader picture about the business, how I can relate my functions to the other functions, what the value of my functions. So how thinking about the value creation and the different business models. Then that's about the strategy. When I speak about negotiation, I fully agree with the Kumaris and me interacted in one of the negotiation. So we get to know us better. I think it's all about, not about you, it's how you interact with the others, how you put yourself in the other shoes sometimes. So that's the negotiation is the other course, which is not only related to the business, it's also how you as a human being, you have to modulate yourself as a personality when you sit in the negotiation table. And reflection, sometimes I started feeling guilty. Oh, I should have not behaved this way. I think that's the learning. So that's about negotiation. Another thing, some courses brings you image in the current organization. Probably the other colleagues have a lot of knowledge about the finance and all. For me, that was not the case. But the learning from the finance for value creation, finance and accounting for the decision making, these are the two subjects. Now, in my company meeting, I started asking certain questions because I understand how that works. So the people pursues me quite seriously than the earlier days. I think because I was not able to speak, I was shy to ask the questions related to the P&L and how the sales were doing, how the P&L is evolving in the organization. So these courses helping me to confidently ask the question and put my perspectives. So it start creating you a different image in the current organization. So these are the couple of courses I can mention. It's a lot I can tell, but I just picked these key learnings from these subjects, which I liked. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Giri. Sharja, let me come to you on this. You are leading a technology practice. Are all these business elements that you're learning helping in the larger functioning of your practice?
No, absolutely. See, when I joined the course, there are two things in my mind, right? So one is I've been learning in the corporate world. Definitely, there's been enormous learning with my colleagues, as well as being in an organization like Accenture, I've been exposed to multiple B-School courses as well, maybe specializing in few things. So what really happened was the way the course is structured, it kind of enables you to think at a CXO level, and that's exactly what I came here for, right? Basically, starting with the finance course and, kind of getting that to economics, and then blending that with the marketing, and then comes the negotiation. But then that doesn't end there, but then there is pricing of the products and strategy. So, and then there is competitive strategy, right? So all this encompasses enormous learning for me. I can definitely say so. One, there are many, terms where I have been hugely enlightened, I would say, especially marketing and global operations management. So these are the two courses, which is marketing. We've had three flavors of that. One is just the introduction to the marketing, and then competitive marketing, and then there was business marketing, right? So B2B marketing. So that itself was an eye-opener for me, because when I actually look at in my organization about marketing, so for me, it is all about, okay, they're only looking at branding. How your organizational strategy has to go hand in hand with your marketing strategy was an eye-opener for me. Today, when I actually ask questions, all these relevant questions actually come to the table. I can see the difference in me. Others who are interacting with me also can see the difference. The second course I really want to talk about is the global operations management. Of course, I always looked up to a CEO and a CIO, being in a technology company. So always a CIO, and then to a certain extent CFO. Of course, they all talk numbers, so I understood some extent of it. A role of a COO, right, was something that was not very well understood by me. So Professor Deshpande, the way he really structured that course, bringing in the elements of what operations management is all about, which is all about internal focus within an organization, to relating that to a supply chain, where it is all about network effects that you have, right? It is about something outside the organization. That was a big eye opener. In fact, one case study is Zara, which is repeated in multiple, courses, especially when it came to operations. So he summed it up at the end. I can never forget that, where he said, he showed the list of top 10 CEOs, successful CEOs, and then there was Zara, and all the CEOs had really become billionaires, whatever, they have had their shares of success by focusing on profit. And here there's one CEO who could also be successful focusing on operational efficiency. So that was it, right? So I think my perspective about all the CXOs have enormously changed. So that is what is a key takeaway for me.
Excellent. That adds a lot of insider input for our participants. That will help them understand what is learning in PGPMAX like. Now let's talk a little more about the some of the features of the program. For instance, the program has an international immersion. In fact, 2 weeks of international immersion, one at Wharton and one at London Business School. So probably I'll go with you, Giri, on this. So how are these international immersions helpful, and what was the learning out of it?
So there are two international immersion happened. So for me, 1 year to happen, the London School of Business and Wharton I had been. I think if you speak about these schools, names itself, Wharton Business School and the London School of Business, they are really premium institutes of the world. I think these institutes, we have an opportunity not because they are the better institutes. ISB has a good connection with certain professors. I think they understand the needs of the students. So content-wise, how they articulate and how the curriculum has been created is really helpful for us to understand, still with the Indian flavor, Indian business setting. So that was the one thing about the international immersion. So other thing is you travel together with a team and have a fun with the team. You go to strange places and also enjoy. And this is apart from your curriculum, apart from learning, you build a relationship and you travel long distance, other parts of the world. And within a weeks of time, you have to do a lot of submissions, a lot of sessions, and the cultural flavor in the international immersions, and yeah, fun together learning. And that international immersion is lighter, but at the same time, a lot of meaningful learning. So long days and stay full night to do sessions. And also you don't miss to go to the strange places. So that's a mix of a lot of value for me. So and the great institutes, the great professors from those institutes, and also fun together with the cohorts. So you explore yourself and your friends better when you travel outside of the city, country. So that's for me international immersion. I'm sure my colleagues have the same feeling.
Excellent. Shailaja, let me get your perspective. How was the experience for you? And which one did you like the most?
So for me, the favorite was Wharton. Of course, I went to both the London Business School as well as Wharton, especially the course where it was, strategy and M&A, which was done by Harbir Singh. I think it was one of the most exciting courses that I can say, primarily because the perspective he brought was at a very global scale. Of course, we do hear a whole lot of case studies. He was not a person who just brought up some case studies and dealt with it in detail, but he really brought in industry leaders. He brought in CEOs, he brought in professors from other universities. So the perspective itself was very global, in my view. And when you get this global perspective, which is kind of, and we do go with some part of our perspective, which is slightly Indianized, I would say, it just opens up a whole lot of horizons, right? So that was one of the best courses in my view. Of course, all the courses were very good. Even the marketing one that we had, competitive marketing strategy, that was also great. Overall, my favorite was Wharton. But I did enjoy London Business School as well, and the courses taught there. So that's how I would sum it up.
Excellent. Thank you, Shailaja. Kumaresh, let me come to you. How was the experience? How was international immersion in PGPMAX?
So as per me, the two international immersions are one of the most important things of the PGPMAX course per se. When you ask me comparison between the two, I'm really sorry. I loved both of them. I thoroughly enjoyed both of them, and I would be very wrong if I select one of them. I'm sorry for the co-panelists, but that's me. So starting with the London Business School, I'll give an example of knowing Khajuraho, Googling it, and then actually going and visiting it. The stark difference. That's the kind of difference which was there in London Business School. You could have called the professor here and had the classes, but that wouldn't give you the effect of the thing which you can realize once you are in London Business School. Why? Because they selected the case studies which you would read in the morning or in the periods in the night, and in the evening you would, venture out on London streets and actually go into the same stores and see live what is happening in front of you. The learnings which the professor would come and give you in the class after your submissions would actually be an eye-opener for you when you go to the stores. I mean, Petmanger, you name it, the kind of case studies which they picked up, they were available and they were on walking distance. It can happen in any other city, but for me, this was the icing on the cake. Going to Wharton, the best of the industry leaders, I'm sorry, again, I may be partial in saying best, but for whatever was made available to us, they were the best. And the kind of knowledge that they brought forward was very insightful. It is not possible to have somebody on a Zoom call or a Teams call and then get the insights, which you can actually get in sitting in front and asking the questions live one-on-one. And another important thing, last about London Business School was interaction with one of the industry CEOs who happened to make his own company, sell it off. We were live sitting in front of him, and he was not the kind of person which we envisage when we think of a CEO. He was a young guy looking right into our eyes. And I mean, I would do PGPMAX again if I had to for these two international immersions. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Kumaresh, for that. So another feature or another value add that you get out of PGPMAX, which is quite unique to PGPMAX, is the executive coaching. Now, executive coaching is something that for our audience, this is something that happens midway through the program. There is a platform that is made available where our participants get to choose whichever coaching module they would like to go through. And there are 300 plus coaching modules that they get to use. Now, Shailaja, let me start with you on this. Is it helpful for, especially for a senior executive who's already there on top of the league? How helpful is executive coaching?
Okay, so just to be honest, I did not take executive coaching at ISB primarily because I had just completed one at Accenture. And I did kind of understand it was at par. What was offered by ISB was at par with what I actually had attended at Accenture. But to your question, is it really helpful? Definitely, definitely helpful. So many a times you do know your strengths, and then what we always do is to play on our, try to actually work more on our weaknesses, ignoring the strengths. And these executive coaching will help you further focus on your strengths. And it really makes you realize that there is no weakness. Even if you actually look at your top 30 strengths, even if you actually really look at, strengths of weaknesses, whatever you want to call it, I would call them as strengths. Anything and everything, every characteristic of yours is a strength, right? But then you look at your top 5 and you need to maximize on your strengths. And that's an important coaching everybody has to get, no matter whatever stage of career you are in. And especially if you are in executive level, it's extremely important, because if you are a driver, where you need to actually channelize your effort into. But not just that, one of the other things that I must tell you is what helps is, as a leader, it's not just about yourself. As we always say, leader create leaders. So you are enabling other leaders, you are creating other leaders in your own organizations, right? So when you create that kind of a team, it is always about complementary skills. These executive coaching also helps you realize, okay, I do have these strengths, but then I need to complement my team with other strengths. So that's when we can actually maximize our performance, right? And that has happened to me. I strongly believe in executive coaching, and it's a must take for anybody and everybody.
Thank you, Shailaja. Giri, let me come to you on this. Now I know that you took the program and you actually went through a lot of coaching as part of it. How was it? How was the experience?
Yeah, I took the coaching. I from Shailaja. Yes, she's right. I think coaching is also a lot about your strengths, and the coaches helps you to reflect and clarify your self-doubts. Sometimes we have our self-doubts where I can do that, whether I'm able to do that. I think the reflection with these coaches bring you the answer, yes, I can do that. I think the ISB has given opportunity to choose the coaches because they are the best coaches and they were coaching and they are coaching best leaders of the world. And also you can choose a general reflection coach for your own reflection and improve. Also, you can choose the coach based on your interest, like you want to improve in your communication, or wellness coach, or related to the diet, food and sleep. There are several options available. You can choose what you like to have the coach. So my own experience is, I think that reflection helped me to prioritize my day-to-day activities. I was at one point of time, I overwhelmed. I was a little bit struggling. I coach helped me how I can plan and also what are important and what I have to pick up first and what I have to take later. He said, like I said, it's too much to read in ISB. He said, it's a buffet. Just have a view. Then focus on which you like, which you taste better. I think that helped me. So you cannot be perfect in everything, but it's a buffet lunch. Just have a view, then deep dive into something which you like, which is important for you. And also he said, like, you have a lot of wants and interests and ambitions. He gives these coaches listens to you and give back to your own story and your own strengths. They reconfirm your strength. They were saying, yeah, you wanted to do this. You start visualizing, you start your company, you are the owner of that, you have a lot of people, you are helping your people. How beautiful it is. To do that, you have to pay price today. You have to do this, you have to start like this. I think this type of some type of speaking in our own language, taking answer from us only and dissect it to help us to understand better. I think it solves a lot of your self-doubts. So this is the value I got from coaching. It's really a valuable initiation and the aspect of the curriculum, the ISB given. Sure, that helped me a lot.
Thank you, Giri, for that. Kumresh, what would your take be on the executive coaching at ISB?
Okay, so let me steal again the phrase which I used in the beginning of the conversation, Top Gun, right? There are 80 Top Guns in the cohort, and nobody feels that, do I need a coaching? What is executive coaching? This probably could have been the initial feeling of most of us. Why? Because we have all fought our way through reaching to where we are today. And during the process, we have formalized certain behavioral aspects of ours, which we feel are conceptually correct. Most often than not, it is correct, but there are certain nuances which need to be corrected. This is where executive coaching comes in. It is basically a self-reflection of yourself when you're interacting with these coaches. They help you know yourself more. And more often than not, they actually tell you how to listen. Because the stage that most of us are on, it's what we like is being listened to. Not generalizing, but more often than not, that is the case. But this is one thing which I've picked up from the executive coaching. There were 10 kind of coaches which were afforded to us, and I had a flavor of all 10. I would be very frank because I'm a leash for learning. My co-panelists would agree with it. I don't leave any opportunity, whatever I get. I had to forego certain other commitments to extract the maximum, to manage the timings, because these coaches were from across the world. They were not specific to Indian geographical location. But then I maximized them. And I mean, it is like what Girisa brought out. It is a buffet. It starts from your voice modulation to dieting. You ask for it and they have it on platter. But these are behavioral changes. All 10 of them are behavioral changes, which takes time to inculcate, to make it a habit and see the effect. So if we say that we'll be able to do all 10 or all even 2 changes in 3 months' time, it's a long shot. 1, yes, you probably can, but then you need to be choosy as to which is that one particular behavioral change that you need to work upon. But if you're clear in your mind, which you will be if you get this executive coaching by joining PGPMAX, because by that time you have been shortlisted and you are in the Max Life. So you will be able to shortlist which is that one particular coaching that you want to take and cause a behavioral change. And trust you me, it will clear those small nuances which are left out at this later stage of our careers. Thank you. That, I think,
Excellent.
from my side.
Thank you, Kumresh. A call out to our participants today. If you do have any questions, feel free to list it in the Q&A box, which is available towards the bottom of your screen, and I'll be happy to take it up with our panelists. That said, we had also received a lot of questions from people who are registered for this event. I'm taking a few here. So one thing that stood out was, there are quite a lot of these programs which are available globally, and I'm sure that you would have also assessed various other programs, both in India and abroad. What brought you to PGPMAX? What was that? How did that shortlisting happen? Why PGPMAX out of those 3 or 4 other programs that you might have compared? Kumresh, I'll start with you on this.
Yeah, so let me be very honest. This was not my first attempt at ISB. Back in 2009, I was looking for PGP, had cleared my GMAT, had scored a very decent score. I could have made it. I think so, but things were not to be. So the second time when I had to take a decision, I did my due diligence. I went through many courses. And to be frank, I was also preparing for GMAT to look at full-term courses in Canada as well as US. And there were other courses in India which I was looking at, which are called Executive MBA full-time in one of the most reputed institutes. What made me come to ISB and that to PGPMAX were 2 things. When I did the study of the kind of background of the people, the cohort which comes to PGPMAX, I was mighty impressed. There was a whole lot of diversity, and there were some 100,000 years of experience which I could have leached onto within a span of 12 weeks, so to say. Second thing was that the exams which are there in PGPMAX, this was a big clincher. I like this concept because human tendency is that within 24 hours of reading or going through a particular thing, you tend to forget most of the things. And if you don't have checks and balances in the due course, you would not remember. You would not remember things at all. So, and it also helps you give realistic knowledge about yourself as to where do you stand. Like, again, bringing back my word from previous, I would not use that word again. I would say big boys. When you're competing against the big boys, you need to know where you stand. Do you have it in you still or no? Because 12 months, 15 months is a very long time. People lose steam in 2 months, 3 months, as late as 10 months. But it is a self-affirmation to you that you are continuing and you're still fighting for it. Last but not the least, when I did the SWOT analysis, I realized that when I took the decision of doing the course for next 2 years, I couldn't have been out of the job as well as out of the country. So there were 3 choices which I had. I will not name the other 2 courses, but trust you me, when again, my personal analysis, amongst the 3 which I had shortlisted, one was ISB, 2 were not from Indian origin. But my analysis said, if you have to work in India for next whatever number of years, there's nothing to beat PGPMAX. And again, I put the disclaimer, this was my analysis. So this is how I came to PGPMAX. Thank you.
Thank you, Kumresh. Giri, let me get your perspective. Did you do a bit of shortlisting? Were there other schools that you considered, and how did you land on PGPMAX?
Yeah, I landed up. The main reason is my neighbor was doing the PGP Pro. But then I also saw the question in the chat, why you did not choose PGP Pro and why PGPMAX? I think PGP Pro is a weekend program. I think the concept, as my colleague said, I like the concept of a full week dedication, and not only dedication from students, dedication from the faculty. The professor completely dedicate that week to the students. He is available all week and follow up after that. Then we reflect that in the way exam or writing assignments, what you learned. I think that is a good way of learning. It's not a weekend program and full week. 1 full week every 6 weeks. I think that's the comfort for me, so that yeah, I can travel and I dedicate myself for learning. The another one, when I was listening to my neighbor, the content and the culture in the ISB and the kind of a faculty they have, it's really amazing. They're renowned professors they're bringing from the different parts of the world. So that gives me a feeling that's a good one. And the reputation of some profiles. When I saw the profiles of the previous alumni and all, that gives me a lot of inspiration to go for it. So yeah, combination of several aspects, I choose an ISB.
Thank you.
PGP.
Thank you, Giri. Shailaja, what was it for you? How did you land in deciding that it is PGPMAX?
So I think very similar to what Giri has been telling, right? So 4 aspects. One is, of course, I wanted to be based in India, but also, really do this course at a very reputed brand, which really has that international impact, right? I don't think any other institution in India has this. Second was, I really was looking at, what is the difference between the coaching that happens internationally? So whether I take all the major MBA schools in the US or in Europe, one of the things was about research-based. So I think ISB is the only organization or the institution which focuses on international-based learning, and that was a big tick in the box for me. The second was alums. I did do a research. I did look up to the people who have done PGP courses. I did evaluate all the PGP courses. So one thing that stood out was Max was definitely for senior executives, and the people who have actually done Max, and I do have a couple of my colleagues in Accenture. I've seen the change in them. I see the way that their career has progressed, or the perspective that they bring to the table. That was extremely encouraging for me, right? And most importantly, the kind of professors and ISB actually flying in the professors from all the internationally known institution was icing on the cake. So all these elements made me choose ISB. I did evaluate all other schools as well of international reputation, but then ISB really stood out, one being in India and research oriented.
Thank you, Shailaja. Another question that we have received, in fact, we have got various flavors of this question from people who have registered for the program, is the ROI of the program. Now, in most cases, the ROI question is, they're asking for the financial ROI. But in some cases, people are also asking about, because we say that PGPMAX at ISB is designed as a program that enables functional leaders to get that decision makers perspective, move into an organizational leadership role. So there are questions on whether that was fulfilled also. So Shailaja, I know that you mentioned this in the passing. So your reason for joining PGPMAX was to get that CXO perspective. Did that happen? Is that happening? How would you define ROI from the program?
Yeah, I mean, you already said that, right? So I wouldn't associate ROI from a dollar value perspective. And it's going to be stupidity in my view, because we're all senior executives and we all know what we want. So the change that we are expecting is, as I said, I came because I want to now get into the CXO roles. And if I have to get there, the perspectives have to change. I wanted the outside in view. That's one part of it. The second is we're still, yet to complete. We're one term away, right? I can definitely talk about some of the small changes that has happened to me at my work, the role changes and the opportunities that I'm getting, which is actually putting me at very global scale and global roles. That will definitely help me and enable me to get where I'm wanting to. That has definitely happened, but I define ROI as it's infinite opportunities one can actually really get. It's about you making that happen for yourself. What ISB does is to enables you. It gives you that platform. It enables your thinking in that direction. And what we need to do is to seize that opportunity actually to move into that direction. All that I can say is, for me, the ROI is the confidence that I have got after, this 18 months of learning, that, okay, I'm a great learner. I can learn more, and learning will only enable me to be successful. So the dollar will just follow. And that's what I've believed throughout my life. And I strongly, and this course actually just further really strengthened my belief, I must say, right? So I look at ROI as a holistic view, professionally and personally. It's been an enormous learning and change in me, and that has been a greatest ROI. And with that change, I know for sure I will craft what I want to get to and move towards that direction. So that is for sure, and that's going to be a big ROI. Maybe 2 to 3 years down the line, I will also talk about the dollar value.
Thank you, Shailaja, for that. Kumresh, let me come to you on this. How will you define ROI from PGPMAX?
Taking a lead from what Shailaja just said, financial part, ROI, if you go by definition of ROI, we are looking at financial gain. It is a given. When you're in ISB, you're doing max course, it is a given. Now, what you need to look at is, what do you get in addition to this? Right? So if you ask me, we all have been in a particular industry wherein we have grown. Probably we have experience of 2 or 3 industries. Herein, sitting in one class, you have the opportunity to get deep dive into various industries, which may be in 2 figures, right? More than 10. Now, you would have to spend, I don't know how much time, how many hours, weeks, months to get this kind of in-depth knowledge. This, when you get sitting in one class, doing an assignment with your cohort mates, makes you even more happier. Now, next thing which you can look at is rubbing shoulders with the big boys of industry. Now you need to understand, what do we know? We always want to be in the CEO office, because we know if we have the years of CEO office, that is where the growth lies. If you want to reach there, you need to understand what do people think, how do they react to various situations. This is what you get when you're interacting with people of different designations, different levels across the industry. This gives you a certain amount of exhilaration, right? ROI is increasing now from given to exhilaration. Now, by the time you finish your PGPMAX course, you would have absolutely no doubt about yourself, as in the decision which you made almost 2 years back or 1.5 years back of joining the PGPMAX course was worth it. Now, when you come to this realization, I call it ROI-gasm. You cannot get better than this, trust you me. And like Shalja brought out, dollar value will come in a year, 2 years. And when we are doing max, we are looking at a growth of next 10 to 15 years. It is not a sprint, it's a marathon. And I would rather call it going through max as an ultra marathon, and post that becomes a half marathon because you're halfway there. You just need to make sure that you don't falter after this to get what you should have ideally got through your ROI, so-called.
Excellent. Thank you, Kumresh. Thank you for structuring it out for our audience as well. Giri, let me ask you, if somebody asked you to define ROI from PGPMAX, what would your take be?
I think it's well said from my both colleagues already. I put it in a different perspective. In a previous term, we studied the business model innovation. They said value creation and value appropriation. If I put that into a ISB ROI, I think as Kumari said, it's given. You created value already being in ISB. Its rest is the appropriation. So how that appropriation, take my experience, I think one thing I got a more confidence about my career. Maybe that dollar value will come later. How the dollar value will come? I categorize maybe a career shift, or in the current role itself, in the current company, or you can be entrepreneur. I'm generalizing it. So when you speak about a career shift, maybe now I'm getting confidence in the related industry. I can also apply for the other roles. I think I'm being noticed by people. I'm getting some questions, not only for my R&D head role, also a little bit broader role. And also change of industry. I am in the seed industry. The agriculture inputs industry is broader than the seed industry. I can think of that because the confidence I have as a leader, you can navigate several topics because you learned them in the course. So this courage will come from your ISB course, and ISB stamp will give a more weightage for that. And also you will open up to the opportunities because people noticing you, because you are interacting, your network is interacting, they're liking your comment. So this way you are thrown into the world that you have to choose whether I need it or not. How to choose it? As Kumri said, you have to make that appropriation in a right way. In a current role, in the current role itself, the way people look at you in your own company is different. Now I'm getting a project assignments. When I asked when I already said earlier, you started asking the right questions to your team and also your colleagues. When you sit in the senior leadership role in the meetings, when you ask the right question, they see you still more potential than earlier. So ROI come, that will be a dollar value later. Then if you don't want anything, you want it to be entrepreneur. So you will get the concept. How from ideation to make your company, there are different platforms, there are different events are happening in ISB. I think you have to leverage them. It's up to you. But joining ISB, value is created already. It's a matter of appropriation, as my colleague said. So that's the way I put that. You don't need to worry about ROI. It's all about putting efforts. Of course, efforts has to be put. Just degree don't give you everything.
Thank you, Giri, for that input. There are a few more questions that we have received. Now, these are very simple questions, but very important for understanding more about the program experience. So questions like, how intensive is the program? Will I be able to take a call from the office if it comes through? Will I be able to take a meeting in between? Is there an exam in the program? Do you have to really take a pen and paper and write these exams? So all these questions have also come in. So let's talk about a typical day when you are there for a weekly immersion in one of the campuses. So Giri, I'll probably start with you on this. What is your typical day like? Are there assignments, group work? Do you have to burn the midnight oil? How does it work?
I think good you chosen me first because I am the laziest person, I believe. I'm still gone through and I'm through now. I am in the last term. It is a collective learning. My cohorts, like when I sit with a Shailaja as my team member, madam, I'm not prepared today. Don't worry. You are there, you have shown the interest, we'll make it happen. I think this collective learning, the 80 brains will help you to somehow to sail through this. Don't need to worry. But I'm not giving you a lot of false hopes that you don't need to study. You have to study, but you don't need to worry because you have a strong support of cohorts. But you have to put your time and you have to contribute. For that, you have to spend some time. But you don't need to burn a midnight candle for this every day. But you have to give 2-3 hours a week and weekend, some meetings and all. But you also should have a time for the fun activity. So everything mixed with the fun, it happens. It's not that people has to worry because I sailed through this course. So I am the laziest person. I'm doing this course. Don't need to worry.
Thank you, Giri, for keeping it candid. Shailaja, what will your take be? What is a typical day like?
Interesting the way he said. So of course we do have a whole lot of assignments. And then there are exams as well. The initial part of the course, of course, it was very overwhelming for me. It's not about writing the exam. It is about the whole thinking, or the idea of exam itself was brings you a bit of nervousness, right? Because you're coming back to school after so many years, and then you do not know, and you do not want to really see yourself as a failure. So that's how the mindset starts with. But then trust me, the cohort as well as the professors make you feel very comfortable because it's all about learning. What I have actually experienced is these exams or the assignments are only about enhancing that further understanding that you've had in the course, as well as the learning that you get with your cohort. And the best part of the assignments are about, as Giri was telling, it's just not about yourself and your understanding of the class. Now I'm sitting with Kumaresh and he brings in a perspective, I wouldn't even have thought in that sense, in the sense I come from one technology industries and it has been very narrowed view. And then he brings in an aspect which I wouldn't even have thought through, right? From a defense perspective, their operations, how that is being managed. And similarly, I talked to Giri. Agriculture industry was a zero for me. What do I know? I know where the wheat is grown, which is the best, state to be known for wheat, which is the best state to be known for, that as an industry. And the research that is being done has been an enormous learning. So we do actually sometimes burn midnight oil. So I wouldn't say we don't burn at all. We do get up early, but we do have a lot of fun. We do party as well. Many times it goes beyond midnight. So it's like all in one to me. One is assignments are greatest learning. Exams are just, I would say reiterating your understanding. It just about confirms your understanding, exams. But then the learning that you get with your teammates is enormous with all these that we do. And I spoke about partying, right? You asked one question about meetings. I did mention about it initially, right? One of the best things about PGPMAX and ISB is the support that we have. ISB clearly understands, what is day in a life for an executive. So we do, if we have critical meetings, we do actually inform and then take the time off and come back to the class to understand. And then there are times we do ask, I did miss 1 hour. Can I actually get something? You can meet the professors offline. You can get that learning from your cohort members. So that has been quite helpful. I mean, I wouldn't say that you come here 7 days and then you are in meeting for 4 days. It doesn't help. You got to focus 7 days. That is definitely important. But then if there are critical meetings, plan it accordingly. Some things that you cannot miss at all. It has happened to me a few times because there are few very, very critical client calls that I had to attend, that has always been possible, right? So that is the beauty of this course.
Excellent. Thank you, Shailaja. Kumresh, let me get your take on a typical day at ISB. And while you explain that, there's also a live question that we got on, can you throw some light into life at ISB, which does not include learning, other than learning what all happens at ISB. So if you can answer that also, please.
I think my co-panelists would agree that the timing of this question has been perfect.
Absolutely. I was just about to say, how come it is for you?
Okay. So when you say, I'll start with the day at ISB. It starts pretty early. If you want to have a good breakfast before going to the class, I prefer having a heavy breakfast, right? So I'm actually on time for breakfast. People make
By
fun
the way,
of me.
he's the first in the breakfast than anybody.
So I reach on time for breakfast. I'm there 5 minutes before the class time to class, and the classes continue the entire day. So sorry for putting it so harshly, but you know, my philosophy is very simple. If you want to eat a frog, just eat it. It's not gonna get easier as the time passes. So the whole day, the sessions are pretty heavy. They can get very heavy actually, and the co-panelists would agree. This is actually the precursor to this is the pre-reads, which are given to you at least 4 to 5 weeks in advance, which you should have gone through. Why are they given? So that the discussions which happen in the class can be at a suitable level. So it is not just the classes. When you get into the, curriculum, you start doing it even before you reach the institute. The whole day you attend through the classes. Evening, yes, the classes get over officially on a particular specified time, and that's the best time of the entire day because you're already overloaded. But there are assignments after this, right? There are individual assignments, there are group assignments, which you need to work on. Why? Why is it that I'm putting it across in this fashion? Because ISB has created certain value for itself, for the alums which have been through the portals of ISB. And that doesn't come just by attending classes. They make sure that you learn, you revise, and you make it your second nature before you move out of the term. Because after 1 week or 2 weeks, you have to give an exam as well. So though it is only 1 week at the institute, the learning actually continues. Of course, you have the time to, manage when you are not over there. Okay, so what do we do other than learning? Okay, so we party till late night. No, sorry, that's the wrong word. We party till early morning, and then we sleep. We do sleep. Yeah, we get a good power nap of an hour or two, and then we are back in class. And trust you me when I say it with a lot of gumption that nobody till date pointed me out, blinking an eyelid during the class. So I can vouch for that. And this is all despite doing all the assignments, going through the class thread, and partying in the night. So take it as a hell week. Go for the 1 week in ISB. Just think that, this 1 week, nothing can touch you. In fact, I would rather quote my training officer. Back in 1996, when I joined my Naval Academy, my training officer made a very impressive statement, which I till date hold close to my heart. It said, if it can't kill you, it can only make you stronger. So ISB can't kill you, but it can only make you stronger. And trust me, you will come out as a strong human being, a strong professional, and a strong family man. Trust you me. The last part is the most important one. So that's how I explain ISB experience.
Excellent. Thank you,
I forgot
Kumresh.
to mention about the organized parties at ISB, right? So that's also something. So there are quite a lot that happens that just helps us relax in terms of all that load that we take throughout the week.
Excellent. There's also one more question that we received from somebody who got an offer. So the question is, now that there is an offer, the class is only going to start by August 2023. So there is these months that are there available at hand. How should one prepare for this journey? What is the ideal way to prepare for the PGPMAX experience at ISB? I'll keep it open. You can share your inputs, please.
I can start. I can go. So to me, so what happened was one thing that I started to do was to connect with how many other people I could. I mean, I of course started. I'm based out of Bangalore. I started with Bangalore just to understand the kind of people that I'll be studying with. That was one thing that is going to be extremely helpful. Second was ISB did give us, it opened up the learning on Harvard. So some of the fundamentals and basics, which was about accounting, finance, some of the quants and statistics that we need to understand. That was highly helpful for rest of the terms. I mean, the actual terms when it started, and especially when I started accounting, I did go very deep, and then when the course started, I really did not feel out of place. So the Harvard materials were hugely helpful, but ISB also gives us a whole lot of pre-reads and the videos, and that were also very helpful. Some of them were from ISB professors themselves, and quite helpful. So that learning kind of helped me to get through the first 3 terms quite well. I would say, right? That takes few weekends of us. It's not that weekend in the sense you all the 48 hours of the weekend, few hours over the weekends that one has to go through. That will be quite helpful. So these are the 2 things I would say that you can actually really focus on. Trying to know your cohort, start understanding them. In the best thing that happened with our cohort was many of the courses that we were looking at, whether it is Harvard or ISB courses, which were the pre-courses, that was all very finance related. Many of our cohort, we have CFOs in our cohort. They actually volunteer to really coach us upfront. We did have multiple Zoom calls. So just find out some of those experts that are in your cohort, the areas that you want to start investing on. That was quite helpful. That's what I did after I got the offer until I joined the school.
Excellent. Any other inputs from Kumresh or Giri?
Yeah. Again, as I said before, what Shailaja just brought out is given. However, having said that, all those who have got the offer in the first round, like I got it in the first round, and all these courses and pre-reads will start somewhere a couple of months down the line. So my advice to you, sincere advice, is 2 things. One is start daily affirmations, telling yourself that you can go through the rut and be disciplined. Secondly, start reading. I'm sure all of you do read. You have a habit of reading, but there's a stark difference between reading your office work stuff, a fiction, and hardcore reading. So what I'm talking about is hardcore reading, which is educational. You may start with 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day. Trust you me, don't laugh at it. You'll find that also very difficult to start with. Most of us, at least, I found it difficult. Somewhere down the line, a week, 2 down the line, you can increase the time to half an hour or to 1 hour. And if you can sustain this discipline of reading 1 hour a day, trust you me, your entire journey of PGPMAX is going to be a cakewalk. That is what I did, and it has really helped me. And last, but not the least, enjoy your family time. Now onwards, till the time course starts, go out every weekend, enjoy every possible opportunity. Not that you'll not get time again, but you may not get it when you want it. So there may be compromises in slots. So right now is the time to enjoy whatever you can. Don't worry about preparing for accounting or finance. I was a defense background guy. Trust you me, these 79 stalwarts standing next to me, I was actually riding on the shoulders of titans, of giants. I didn't have a problem. I sailed through. Last term is still pending, but I'm sure I'll manage to sail through that as well. That's my suggestion to you.
Thank you, Kumresh. Giri, your input.
I think well said by both colleagues. I don't need to add. Be prepared. So make some friends in your own city and go for the pre-reads and videos. As Kumari said, be open to have this sailing journey and enjoy more with the family, another 1 or 2 months.
Excellent. Excellent. Also very quickly on So you're going towards the last week of immersion. So that 15-month journey with ISB is going to come to a close by this December. Now we say from the admission office that this is going to be a 15-month of transformation for you. Now, if you are to define your transformation from the program, how would you define it? What is transformation from PGPMAX for you? I'll keep it open. Any of you can go first, please.
For me, transformation is, I'm ready to take the bigger risks, and mentally I'm ready. I think that's a transformation. I was always worried to think about changing my job, and I'm a bit confident now. And that's the transformation. And I have a new perspectives. I have a confidence. I have a better colleagues, like including 2 of them on the call. They will help me. And that's the confidence. I think, I can list like this. I am 2.0 compared to the 1.5 year back.
Excellent. Kamlesh.
So for me, transformation would be what I just brought out. At the end of the course, you would be 200% confident about the decision which you took 1.5 to 2 years back of joining PGPMAX. And trust you me, I'm very happy, very confident, very exhilarated that I took this decision and gone through this journey. I have 79 friends which I'm going to cherish for the rest of my life. And I don't think I have any doubts in any of my decisions anymore. I mean, I just take decisions now. That's the transformation which I see in myself.
Thank you, Kamlesh. Shailaja, what would it be for you?
I think very similar. So I have much more clarity in terms of what I want to do and I want to head to. Not that I had less clarity earlier, but this is kind of clearly helped me find the path very, 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 very well. So much more confident, much more, I would say, decisive in everything that I do. It has been an amazing journey, right? So that by itself has been transformative for me.
Thank you, Shailaja. There is one more question in the Q&A box. I'll take it right now. So there is this question on, the average experience for PGPMAX is 17 years. So what if somebody is at 11-year, 12-year bracket? Is it a good time to consider the program? Is that okay? Is a question. So I'll keep it open. What would your take be?
Can I take it? Shot?
Yeah, you can.
Please, Kamlesh.
So again, what I said earlier, do you think it's the right time? The decision is between the 2-year drums. If you feel this is the time, you have the zeal, you can undergo, the situation is correct, you will be able to cope up, then just go for it. Experience of 5 years, 15 years may not matter. What matters is that will you be able to, do you think you have it in you right now to go through the ordeal? That is what you need to be very clear about. Rest, trust you me, you have almost 1,000 years of experience standing next to you to make sure that you sail through and cover up for whatever you feel, not others feel. What you feel probably is the lacuna in the experience, is my take on this.
Thank you, Kamlesh. Any other take on the question?
So I would say, ISB also helps for a candidate to identify the best course. So that's what happened to most of us. It's not that, I go and choose PGPMAX. They do actually look at your profile. There is this interview that one goes through. And ISB definitely advises because they've seen enough. They know better than each one of us, and they do advise. And as Kumaresh said, I also don't look at it from an experience perspective. It's not the years of experience. It's about where you stand, where you think you are in your organization, where you want to head to. And that is what should help you pick the course and not the years of experience at all. So go for it. Then take the help of ISB as well to choose which course will be appropriate for you. Max, definitely, if you want to continue to work at the pace that you are in, and you will be able to take time off for a week every month, definitely Max is the recommended one. And then, of course, you get to meet the senior leaders, get to learn a lot, no matter whichever experience you come with. The learning is enormous, right? Even if somebody is coming with 8 years of experience, there's still a whole lot of learning because they come from a very diverse industry. So that is what the whole program gives you.
Excellent. Thank you, Shailaja. That said, I'm sharing the link to book a one-to-one conversation with our admission office. If somebody wants to have a detailed profile review, it's there in the chat box right now. Please feel free to book a one-to-one conversation with us. Being mindful of time, I'll take one last question. So a lot of our participants today are either people who applied for the program, are prospective applicants, or are people who are considering the program actively. So what would your advice be to them? What should they know about? How should they consider the program? What would your final take on PGPMAX be? What is your advice? Shailaja, maybe I'll take your take first.
Just one statement, go for it. It's worth every penny. So I vouch for it and I keep talking about it everywhere. So in fact, a lot of people, a lot of my own, leads in my own team, they have been super inspired. They've seen a sea change. And I see them actually wanting to go for it. I know some of them have already applied. So just one statement, go for it. We've spoken enough in the last 1.5 hours in terms of the experience, fun, everything that we have had. Go for it.
Thank you, Shailaja. Giri, over to you. What would your take be? What is the advice?
Same, go for it, provided you have a commitment to learn and think about why you want to go for it. Maybe that's the essay you have to write it down for ISB. Write a good essay so that all probability you'll get the seat. You'll get it, go for it. I think that's the best one. And definitely you will learn, you will transform as a person. So that's my advice.
Thank you, Giri. And finally, Kumresh, what is your take?
Similar feelings, different words. There was one train which came on your stop when you were in late teens, early 20s. You did some education. This is an express train which has come just at the right time. Your choice. You want to catch it and enjoy the rest of the journey, or you want to keep thinking at a later date, the train was there, I was there, I didn't catch it. Choice is yours.
Excellent way to sum it, Kumresh. Thank you so much. Thank you all panelists for being an amazing panel today, for keeping this as interactive as possible. Thank you, Kumresh, Giri, and Shailaja for taking the time, especially on a Saturday evening. Thank you to all our participants for taking the time on a Saturday evening. Hope these inputs are helpful for you while you're considering the PGPMAX at ISB. Thank you a lot. Thanks a lot, and wishing you a very nice weekend ahead.
Thank you, Thomas. Have a good day.
Thank you.
You too. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.